How's it going, guys? Just a big disclaimer before we get into today's podcast episode. Annoyingly enough, my audio's kind of been in the bin again, and you don't understand how annoying that is for me because genuinely, I did a lot of checks after the episode. I thought I'd sorted it. I did checks before I recorded today. I mean, even now you can hear the audio so much better than what it is in the thing. It is better than last week, but it's still a little bit echoey. So sorry, bear with me. I'm trying my best to get it sorted. Hopefully next week it'll be sorted. Again, I'm also sorry that Sully isn't here again today. It's just me. So please make sure you leave a like, comment, subscribe for just to be a bit more sympathetic to me because I've had to do it on my own again. So Sully's left me again. But with 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks before the NBA season, regular season ends, I felt like I had to get one out. So make sure you're liking and subscribing, show your appreciation in the comments, and yeah, hopefully me and Sully will see you guys next week. Hopefully my audio will work too, just like it is now. Let's go on to the video. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Beyond the Arc podcast. And I'm going to be honest with you, I wasn't expecting to be doing this on my own so soon after the last episode I did on my own. I don't even think. I think it's probably too late. Sorry, it's probably a bit too soon to actually clickbait a something over this. Yeah, no more new host titles. But yeah, I am on my own again. Again, scheduling issues. So they couldn't do yesterday, today. I can't do Friday and the weekend. Therefore, I'm back on my own. Hopefully, this comes out on the Friday. I'm recording this on the Thursday. Hopefully, this comes out on the Friday, so we can still keep going with weekly content. Because I feel like usually we just take a week off, but I feel like the one that I did on my own, it did alright. I feel like I wasn't bad. I feel like it flowed alright just on my own. So yeah, I'm doing it again. Plus, this is the penultimate week of the regular season. I know it doesn't feel like it at all. Like this, like, it just feels like the season's gone by so quickly. And so yeah, I'm wanting to make sure that a video comes out because we are getting into the business end of the season. Like I've said multiple times before, you're probably getting a little bit sick of me saying that. But essentially, it's just gonna be me again, just chatting with myself, talking to myself, like the episode 2 weeks ago. Um, but before we get into everything I've got to talk about today, make sure you're leaving a like, comment, follow, all that good stuff. Subscribe, not follow. Man, I'm not on good form today already. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're listening on any other podcast platform, share it out. Same as you listen on YouTube, share that out too. We're trying to build up, build up the fan base. Make me feel a little bit good. Make me feel like doing these on my own is worthwhile. Me making a fool out of myself, talking about basketball. Don't even have Sully to bounce off of this week. So yeah, just make sure you're doing all that. Follow us on the social medias, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram. It's all in the description. And also make sure you're checking out our Instagram because, like 2 weeks ago, Sully's predictions are probably going to be on there unless he gets them to me at some point tonight. While he's at work or something like that, so I can just put them in the video. But his predictions will probably be on the Instagram. So I think we're just gonna get straight into it and get straight into the big games that have been happening this week. First, like the main one I want to talk about is the Bucks against the Sixers. Which I mean, when you look at that, they're the two teams that are odds-on favourites of meeting in the conference finals. Maybe even before, just if fate happens that they end up meeting in the second round, maybe. But yeah, the Bucks ended up coming out on top. Giannis, man, he's a demon. The Greek freak. He is a freak, isn't he? Like, he saw that Embiid was like, I'm MVP this year. Not you. Not Jokic. I'm MVP. And Giannis was like, you what, mate? And then dropped a 40-point piece on his head top and blocked Embiid to win the game. And when you look at that, it's like, that's a statement. That could, this close to the end of the season, like I said, we've got a week and a half left. We got one more episode of Beyond the Arc for the regular season. the season ends not this weekend, next weekend. That's a big statement. Embiid, he might not be able to recover from that before the end of the season. So yeah, maybe that means that Giannis might have overtaken Embiid in the MVP runner. So yeah, Giannis did that. That was big. That given that little bit of a boost towards the top of the conference. Which, let's be honest, and I'll talk about this later on because I've got like a whole segment on it. It's been very topsy turvy up there. The top four, they've just been interchangeable, and it really is anyone's game up there. Them top four are going to be the top four, but it's the positioning, and the positioning in the top four, it really does kind of like benefit you when it comes to the playoffs. If Milwaukee and Philly finish second and third, which is what they are now, what a boost that'll give Miami and Boston. They'll really think that they'll be facing each other in the semis, and that's a big chance to get through the conference finals. Maybe even cause an upset against the winner of Milwaukee, Philly, and head through to the finals. You never know, it might happen. Especially given how unpredictable the NBA has been so far this season. But if there's anything that isn't predictable, it's that in big games, Giannis Antetokounmpo shows up. And the dude's just been unstoppable when it comes to the big game. The guy's putting up monster numbers night in, night out. Like I said, a 40 piece against Embiid there. Blocked him to win the game. So yeah, that's huge. So Giannis kind of staked his claim. It was like, this MVP race ain't over. I'm winning MVP. And then Jokic, the next night, literally the next night, last night, was like, you're not MVP. I'm MVP. It's crazy, man. He shot 80%. 80% pretty much. 78.9%. That's pretty much 8% when you round up. And I'm rounding up. I make the rules here. Nikola Jokic came through again. And that was a very interesting game. It was a game where Denver against the Pacers, sorry, I didn't even mention that they were playing the Pacers. Against the Pacers, a pretty trashy team. Denver were like 40 points up at a point, or like just under 40 points. And then Indiana actually leveled it in the fourth quarter. Like a massive 39-point comeback. And then, usually when that happens and you're at home, your crowd's behind you. That usually gives you that boost to maybe go on and win. And then Denver were like, nah, you ain't winning this, Indiana. And yeah, well, like I said, Jokic with a 37-point, 13 rebound, 9 assist night. After Giannis hit that big statement, Jokic came through with yet another big statement. And let's be honest, does this now mean that the MVP race is down to 2? We talk about the MVP race all the time, every single week. It's kind of been a running theme so far. Who's going to win MVP? I think at the moment Embiid's third. And that might be some bias from me. I don't really like Embiid compared to the other two. I can respect he's a good player, but as a Bulls fan, you don't like Joel Embiid. So maybe that's just a bit of bias from me, maybe. But the Nuggets, the Nuggets and Jokic, Jokic. What I'm trying to say is that the Nuggets don't have as good a team as Milwaukee and Philly do. And yet, Jokic is still carrying. And I feel like that might be what pushes him over. But in the end, it's going to be the 3 and 4 for Giannis or 2 in a row for Jokic, in my opinion. You never know. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Who's going to win MVP for this year? It's going to be tight. Genuinely, I couldn't pick between them two at the moment. I can say that Embiid's going to probably drop down. So yeah, and sticking with that Nuggets game, moving on. It seemed like a very enjoyable game to watch. I didn't watch it, but it did seem like a very enjoyable game to watch. You had the aspect of Indiana going down by so many, and then managed to pull off a comeback, and then still lose. And then you also had the case of the Austin Rivers ejection, which genuinely is one of the worst ejections that I've seen ever. We all joke, NBA Twitter, NBA fans, we all joke that the standard of officiating in the NBA isn't good. And let's be honest, I probably can do better. I'm I'm just sitting in my bedroom just ranting about it at the moment. I probably couldn't do better. But Rivers doesn't even touch Lance Stevenson, and Lance Stevenson milks it, and then Austin Rivers gets ejected for like violent conduct, however it is. Like he gets a double tech, and he gets thrown out. It'll be I probably won't be able to show a video of it, but it'll be in the thumbnail because it's absolutely outrageous. It's terrible that he's being ejected for something like that, and the fact that like Austin Rivers, he commented on it a little bit after on the House of Highlights Insta, and then Lance about how bad it was, and then Lance Stevenson actually had like the gall to actually reply and stand his ground. Like, is he like watching a different game to what everyone else was watching? He's like saying, "Yeah, this. You knew what you were trying to do. You were trying to injure me. There's no hard feelings, but you were trying to injure me. Game. I was trying to play my game. You're trying to injure me. No, Lance. He raised his elbow up to like divert his dribble. He didn't try and injure you. And yeah, I mean, Indiana respect in my opinion down at the moment. And I like Lance Stevenson. He's one of those he's one of those kind of funny players. I never really thought he took himself seriously. Kind of like the Jared Dudleys. Maybe like Alex Caruso. He's one of those that like NBA Twitter and NBA fans just kind of glorify because he's just funny. But yeah, my respect for him down. My respect for Indiana at the moment down. And let's be honest, if that's the only thing that you're celebrating about at the moment, when you're not even, I mean, it's the only thing you can celebrate about when you're not even in playing contention. You've already been eliminated from the playoffs. What's there to play for anymore? I guess find your little victories. I hope you're happy with that, Indiana. Let's be honest, you still lost on the night, so in the end, massive L for you. Um, but yeah, I mean, they still won. The Nuggets still won. They are still a contender, in my opinion. Maybe unless they faced Phoenix, because Phoenix are mental. But other than that, literally everyone else can be contenders. Maybe except the Lakers. Because on this week's episode of Are the Lakers Making the Playoff / Play-In / Championship / whatever this segment's called, they actually dropped out of the play-in, so maybe not. Except they're back in the play-in now because Keldon Johnson missed an open layup to win the game. Well, not open, it was contested. But he still missed a layup against the Grizzlies. Which I'll imagine if they actually beat Memphis, that'd be huge. But LeBron and the Lakers went out of the play-in because San Antonio have a better record against the Lakers than the Lakers have against San Antonio, obviously. I don't know where I was going with that, but yeah, that means that if they end up on the same record, then San Antonio stay above them, which I didn't know that until like a few days ago, and that's huge when it actually comes to it. Head-to-head records, especially given how tight it is in conferences at the moment, can prove. Well, it can say in the East perspective, the Bulls, it might decide whether the Bulls actually end up in the playoffs or have to fight in the play-in. In this case, it'll depend on whether the Lakers actually get a chance to get in the playoffs. Like this is crazy. Like LeBron's been out, granted, recently, but they just haven't been able to hit form since the end of the All-Star break. They're on a 3-game losing streak. And looking at their remaining games, 5 of them, I think. They've got Utah, New Orleans, Denver, Phoenix, Golden State, and Denver. Sorry, 6 of their remaining 7 games are against teams with better records than them. It's dangerous. It's dangerous if you're a Laker fan at the moment. You're just hoping that AD can come back. And, there is talk of him coming back this weekend and the start next week. Is he going to be 100%? Let's be honest. Or is this a last throw of the dice? Is he not going to be 100%? Are you going to risk injuring him again just for that one chance at getting into the playoffs this year? And I mean, let's be honest with you. I would. I know risking injury is never a good thing, but it's embarrassing. It'd be embarrassing if they didn't make the play-in, especially given that everybody pretty much had them to finish top. at the start of the season in the West. To have them not even make the play-in, I don't think anybody expected that. Like, the betting odds on that must be huge at the start of the season. But yeah, I mean, LeBron's been out recently. I think he's going to be coming back soon. AD, like I said, is going to be coming back soon. I think if they can get them two back, it'll probably be enough. In my opinion, I think they could scrape wins against New Orleans. They could probably scrape a win against Denver one of the times that they play them. Golden State without Steph are losing to pretty much everybody at the moment, so they might be able to scrape wins against them if they're full strength. So maybe they will make the play-in. You know, I've always said that they're going to make the play-in, even if like up until they dropped out, and you're going, man, are they actually not even gonna? But yeah, I think they will, because let's be honest, you can't put LeBron in that. You can't put LeBron out of the play-in. You know, he can't miss the playoffs again. Like that one time he did miss the playoffs 3 seasons ago. It was a bit of a dead playoffs. Obviously, like the whole Toronto winning was feel good, but for the NBA, just nobody watched it. Nobody watched the playoffs. Like the NBA are going to be wanting the Lakers to get in the playoffs. I bet Adam Silver's on the way to the Spurs, on the way to DeJounte Murray and accidentally just tripping him up. I don't know, or maybe like he's gonna shake his hand and like grip it really hard so he breaks his hand or something like that. Because anything to stop San Antonio going above them at the moment, just please, like he's like LeBron, please. No, but I do think that they're gonna get in. They're not gonna get in the playoffs. That's fact. They're not gonna get in the playoffs, especially now that Minnesota are great. I like Minnesota, and you never know. Minnesota might leapfrog Utah, might leapfrog Denver into a top 6. Sorry, New Orleans. I think they're probably the only team that can beat in there, and the Clippers, which I guess I'll talk about next. They're dangerous now. They're dangerous now because PG-13 is back. The man who I said is one of the most underappreciated players you're ever gonna see at the moment. Like this guy, the fact that if he had stayed fit and kept the Clippers remotely where they were at the moment, the fact that he's not in, the fact that he wouldn't have even been in MVP consideration it's bonkers in my opinion, because that Clippers team, it's not that good. It's really not that good. Nick Batum got injured as soon as he traded for him. Was it Nick? No, Norman Powell. Nick Batum does just play for him. No Kawhi all season. Practically no PG all season, and they've still managed to hold down a top 8 place. They're going to be in the play-in. I think it's mathematically impossible for them to get in the playoffs at the moment. But I think just having PG there, you might as well just book them a place in the 8th seed. And if they do get 7th or 8th, Memphis and Phoenix, your first round matchup ain't going to be as easy as you thought, especially if Kawhi comes back for the playoffs. That's deep. Like, genuinely, put PG, put Kawhi, if they're both fit for the playoffs, they're championship contenders. I don't care where they finish. Like, Kawhi in the big game, you can't go against him. Like, if he actually played basketball, he'd be MVP talk every single season, but he just doesn't play. But yeah, if they can get Kawhi back, that's too good. And obviously, PG-13 coming back is massive as well. In his first game back, the Clippers pulled off a big comeback against the Jazz, who, are playoff contenders. And, he dropped what? Like, he definitely dropped 30. Yeah, he dropped what? 30, yeah, he dropped 34. He dropped 34. Reggie Jackson dropped 21. And then the rest of the starters got 8, 8, and 3. If that doesn't tell, that's a bad team. That's a bad team. When Reggie Jackson's your second best player in the year of our Lord 2022, when Reggie Jackson is your second best player, you're not a playoff team. I don't care, man. You're not a playoff team. Look, anyone can beat you if you have Reggie Jackson, your second best player, unless your best player is Paul George. And Paul George, he's just an unbelievable player. I will die on the hill of Paul George. I just think he's underappreciated. He came in the top three when he played for the Thunder for MVP voting, and I think he's managed to keep that consistency over in LA. I just don't think it's been noticed as much, especially given that obviously they blew it in the bubble and they've kind of just been a laughing stock ever since. But I still think PG has kind of held his own, and I'll be rooting for the Clippers in the playoffs. Well, definitely in the play-in, and when they make the playoffs, I'll be rooting for them because I just think that they do deserve it. They've been through a lot. The Lakers, they were climbing at the start of the season. They were like, we're better now. Look at where the Lakers now are. Nah, they ain't it. So yeah, I mean, they've done really really well without their star man. And there's a lot of teams that can't say that, especially Golden State, who I said on my own. I covered the Steph injury on my own 2 weeks ago. I was saying I forget what I actually said. I thought, yeah, I said that they slipped down to fourth or fifth, and I didn't think they'd slip further. At the moment, they're fourth. They just, oh man, it's just not been good for them. And if Steph can't get back for the playoffs, I really fear a first round exit for them. I really do. We might be getting Dallas and Golden State in the first round. Sorry, at the moment Dallas are third, Golden State fourth. So at the moment it isn't happening. But if Denver string a few wins together, Dallas stays inconsistent as they usually are, then yeah, we could be getting Dallas and Golden State, and then my theory might actually come true. Obviously, Steph not being there is a major thing, and if Luka's there, then he's gonna torch him. But yeah, the Mavs might actually beat the Warriors. Another thing that might happen is Golden State and Phoenix in the second round. If Golden State get through the first round against like Denver or Utah or Dallas, and they had a good game last night. They had a very good game last night. There was getting to this last stretch of the season. There's been a lot of big time games where big players have had to step up, and I can't lie. Golden State's like young core, like Jordan Poole. My word, if this guy, like, I'm trying to think of who could win Most Improved over him. Like genuinely, I think if Clay or Steph hadn't have been in, if they've had Clay and Steph for the whole season and he'd have been sixth man, he's sixth man of the year over Tyler Hero, but he just hasn't played enough six man for him to actually qualify as a six man, I feel. But Jordan Poole is genuinely averaging all NBA numbers. He's averaging like 25, 7, and 7 when Steph's not been playing, sorry. And that's MVP like numbers for someone who was pretty much a nobody before the start of the season. He was a good role player, but no one really saw him as someone like this. But he has been taking over the scoring load about him, and he's making Klay Thompson look, I don't want to say it, but washed. Like, I just don't. I feel really sorry for Klay. I think he's a really good personality off the court, and on the court he's a good player, but he's not. Him being on the Warriors at the moment, I think, is detrimenting them more than it's helping them. And is that a hot take? Maybe. But when you're putting up against, a team that have the best record in the league, you want to pull it up on that big night. When you're putting up 5 of 21 field goals and 1 of 10 in your 3-point shots, that's not the Klay Thompson that we're used to. And I hate to say it, but nobody's better after 2 years out. Nobody. Were people hyping Klay Thompson a little bit too much? I remember me and Sully, Sully more than me, were talking about it, saying, if Clay's back, who's stopping them from winning a chip this year? But I think a lot of people might have overhyped Clay's return a little bit, especially in the media. I don't want to say that I knew that this was going to happen, but I knew that Clay was never going to be as good as, he was never going to be putting up 70 points on however many little dribbles it was, or whatever it was. 60 odd points on like 14 dribbles, or whatever it was. But this, he's not looking good at all. You'd expect him to come back and maybe average like, I don't know, like 20, maybe just 20 on efficient shooting, not like taking a load of shots and only getting 20 points, but being efficient. And that's just not what he's doing at the moment. I mean, and that sort of thing. There was like an NBA team's win percentage without their star guard, and the Warriors have won 30% of their games when Steph's not been there. And let's be honest, if Steph misses the first 4 games of the playoffs, say he just misses the first 4 and he's fine for the rest of the rest of the playoff series, the first round, they could get swept. I'm not even lying. And that'd be a real shame given that they were first at Christmas. They've had a big downfall, and I think a lot of people haven't really been covering that as much. I think the Suns have just taken off. Like, they've been amazing. The Grizzlies have been great. But yeah, without Steph, the Warriors, really, there's nothing separating them from New Orleans, really. So yeah, if Steph's not there, maybe a first round exit. Maybe a first round exit. Sticking to that topic of teams winning without their point guard, though, and the top team on the little graphic that I've got in front of me is the Grizzlies winning without Ja percent 89% of the time. Did I just say the Grizzlies winning without Ja percent? The Grizzlies winning without Ja Morant 89% of the time. And given that Ja's been out for quite a lot this season, he's out at the moment. He was out near the start of the season. That's good, isn't it? Like, and they're still They're still second. They've got the second best record in the conference. They're gonna finish second, most likely this season. They're 6 games ahead of Dallas in third. And who'd have predicted this? They just clinched that 8th seed against the Warriors last year, and I think maybe people were expecting them to finish about like 6th, maybe 7th. After battling the play-in again. And usually when this happens, it's like, yes, their star man had a breakout year, and therefore they've done really well. But like I said, they've won 89% of the time without their star man, and they're not even like it's not even like they're beating teams that are just below them and then just losing to teams above them. They destroyed the Milwaukee Bucks earlier this week, and it's not even like Giannis put up a bad night. He shot 30 points, but people like Dylan Brooks, who I remember saying like all the way back in the playoffs last year, he's got what it takes to be the Klay Thompson to Ja Morant, Steph Curry. Desmond Bane's having a great season. He's probably up there for most improved. Jaren Jackson Jr. has always been that solid power forward, and I think just having Steven Adams there, I don't really understand Steven Adams, if I'm honest with you. He's one of the best defenders in the league, yes. He's hilarious off court, like in interviews and that. And I genuinely think that he's probably been one of the most important additions to the Memphis team this year, because having that just solid center in there, he's not putting up great numbers, but he is, he's making up space for your shooters to knock down threes. He's throwing full court passes just because he can, like that one to Ja Morant a few weeks ago. He's pulling down rebounds. He's getting his career best in rebounds at the moment, and I think that he's nearing his prime, and he's not a vet, but to all the young guys around him, he pretty much is, and that's what helps a lot. He brings that defense that the famous saying goes, defense wins you championships, and having that big center in there, to just limit Giannis to not getting such easy points. Giannis did score 30 in that game, but he missed 9 shots, and he makes them 9 shots. Then it's a whole different game, and he's got the hot hand and heat checks and all that kind of stuff. So have someone like Steven Adams in there has really benefited them, I think. Memphis, I'm still not taking them seriously as a championship contender, and maybe that's bad on my part. Maybe I'm being foolish on my part, because genuinely I think that they're a dark horse. I think they're a team that you can root for, and they're a team that I think a lot of people can understand that this isn't a championship or bust season. If they keep this core, like they don't even have to make any big changes in the off season. If they keep this core, they're just gonna get better because their team's young. They're gonna get better. Ja Morant's gonna be hitting MVP level numbers if he stays fit all through next season. And yeah, if they don't win this season, don't put your head down, don't keep the red downs, and yeah, they can do good stuff. They might be like Phoenix. I think last year a lot of people maybe were expecting Phoenix to be a championship or bust season, but obviously they've shown what defeat can do for you. They can make you better, and I think Memphis might be like that this season. They might be a dark horse in the final. I don't think they will be. I think they might be. They might get to the conference finals, maybe lose to Phoenix, um, but yeah, I think they'll be better next season personally, and they've been really good this season. The Suns had won 73% of games without CP3, but he is back now, and adding CP3 to a team who had won 60 games already this season is only going to make them better. Are Phoenix your out and out like championship contenders? And the fact is, I can't say that they're not. I think this year is Chris Paul's year. Touch wood, and I really hope that I'm right because he deserved it last year, in my opinion. I think a lot of people thought that they'd drop off a little bit, but like I said, defeat just made them better. And in my opinion, they're gonna win. They're gonna win the whole thing. I'm putting out on the line there. Obviously, we'll have the actual predictions for stuff like that after the regular season ends. But yeah, that's what I think is gonna happen. Moving on to the last thing that I've kind of got down, and it's a little bit of a funny thing. In the Timberwolves and the Mavs game, which we actually didn't cover last week. Oh no, we did. Yeah, we did say it was gonna. We did predict that one last week. So should we go to the predictions maybe and then cover it then? Yeah, why not? We'll kill two birds with one stone. See, this is good thinking. This is what makes you good. Please subscribe. Please. Moving on to the predictions then. That's kind of all I've got for last week. It's quite hard, just talking about it on your own. I really like having Sully to bounce opinions off, but go bother Sully being like, stop taking shifts, stop getting shifts at Wednesdays and Thursdays. Don't do that. Thought someone might fire him. Don't do that, please. Anyway, back onto the last week's predictions, and it was a rare loss for me. But starting off with the Mavs Timberwolves game, which was interrupted. Not really. No, it wasn't interrupted, but the cameras kind of caught attention towards the end of the game of Gideon. Gideon. I might have butchered that, but very funny YouTuber. Does a lot of like skits and pranks and stuff like that. Getting a haircut at courtside. He made the NBA headlines by becoming DeMarcus Cousins the third, and then getting a pitch taken with DeMarcus Cousins earlier in the season when he played for the Bucks, and he's back again getting a trim at courtside. And I've followed him. He's done this kind of stuff like lectures and at like colleges and that. And it's just weirdly funny. You know, he's completely deadpan whilst doing it, and yeah, it's just hilarious. But yeah, obviously, what wasn't hilarious was me predicting Doncic and the Mavs to win that one. The Timberwolves won. Sully predicted Cat, Sully won, and yeah, that was pretty much the theme for the most part to the point where I'd lost it with 2 games left. So yeah, Sully winning again. It is 7-5 in the predictions now. Well, I said winning again, winning for the first time in a very long time. It is now 7-5 in the predictions. It's not done yet, but obviously with 2 weeks left, we could be ending the regular season with Sully level before we look at our season standings. Imagine if that happens. Let's hope it doesn't. I haven't grafted this hard to come back from the depths, to take a lead, to then get pegged back again. I'm not the Indiana Pacers against the Denver Nuggets. It's not happening. So this week it'll be different, and I'm going to win, because the first prediction for this week is the Timberwolves facing the Nuggets. Not only is it two, yeah, I'll go out on a limb. The two best. I mean, yeah, I'm not even. I don't even think this is controversial. The two best centers in the West going at it. Cat against Jokic. Both teams at the moment are 3 games apart from each other. So, if Minnesota want to not have to play in the play-in, winning this game might help them take that leapfrog into the 6th position. Do I think they're going to do it? No, I don't. I think Jokic is going to win this one. The good thing about this is that when Sully's usually here, I kind of like let him pick a few, and then if he picks who I think I was going to pick, I change it. But obviously Sully isn't here. This is what Sully gets for having work and not being able to do shoots, because I get to choose who comes first, because he can't argue with me on this one. But also make sure, whilst I'm in the middle of this, make sure you're checking out our Insta at the official BTA podcast. Words at the official BTA podcast. Sorry, um, for his predictions. Probably come out before the video. Maybe no. I'll make sure it comes out after the video, but it'll be out tomorrow. Make sure to check that out so you can confirm in mine, and we'll see who wins. But the second game, big game. Not really in terms of who's going to finish in the standing, who's going to finish where in the standings, because Memphis and Phoenix have kind of got their places locked. But the Suns at the Grizzlies is potentially a conference final matchup, and this is going to be the last time they'll face each other before that said potential conference matchup. So this is going to be the last time. This is going to be the last thing they'll think of before they hit that court on game one for the Western Conference Finals potentially. So they're going to be out there wanting to win. And despite it being at Memphis, I do think that the Suns have this in the bag. With CP3 back now, and Devin Booker, I mean, he's still putting up big numbers. Even now CP3 is back, he's still putting up big numbers. So I'm going with a Devin Booker special on that one. I personally think Sully's going to go for CP3 personally. So that one shouldn't be a bother for me. So I'm going to go with Devin Booker. Next up, Pelicans at the Lakers. 9th versus 10th in the Western Conference. If New Orleans don't want to be dragged into that dogfight for the 9th and 10th seed, they're probably going to want to win this one, aren't they? But the question is LeBron going to be back? Is AD going to be back? We don't know at the moment. The speculation, it could happen, it could not. And it's a close one. I think it all does depend on whether they're both back. But I think even if there is just one back, I do think that it is going to be a New Orleans win. Who I think is going to come through? I mean, I'm putting CJ McCollum in there. He pulled out a big points haul against his former club, the Trailblazers, the other night. I think he's going to carry that momentum on for that big game at the Staples Center. 4th game, Jazz at the Warriors. Man, usually I hit you with a lot. I subconsciously think that I do too many Eastern Conference games, but I'm hitting you with a lot of the West at the moment, because there's just a lot of games between teams who are very close together. The Jazz and the Warriors are 2.5 games back from each other. The Warriors are 4th, the Jazz are 6th, and it's just big games these last few weeks, and in my opinion, I think the Warriors might actually have this one. Despite everything that I've said so far earlier about how the Warriors, they ain't doing it so far, I think they might win this one against Utah and show people that that you shouldn't bet against them in the first round, especially if they do come up against Utah. And I think it's going to be Jordan Poole. Especially if Steph's not going to be there, I think he's going to take over Jordan Poole for MVP. You heard it first. Penultimate game, We're heading over to the East now. Heat at Bulls. This is always a big game whenever it happens, let alone towards the end of the season. And man, it is a close one. Miami, they fell off. Boston did bits. That's one thing I've completely not talked about. I feel like as a podcast we haven't really talked about it. How good Boston have been recently, especially since the All-Star break. Best one of, if not the best record, I think. They have lost the last 2 games in a row. One of them to Miami. Miami had a little bit of a slip. They're back on top of the East now. Like I said, everything is topsy-turvy in there. And obviously, the Bulls haven't beaten any of Miami, Milwaukee, or Philly yet. At least when Boston were up there, you could say the Bulls have finally beaten a top 3 team in the conference because we did it earlier when we weren't awful and when Boston were. I never bet for the Bulls, but I think this one might be it. I think this one might be the one that we win. Miami, like I said, they're in a bit of a topsy-turvy run at the moment. The Bulls won the other night. They play again tonight against the Paul George Clippers. I think if we win this, then the win against Miami is going to come. So yeah, I'm gonna bet for a Bulls win, and it's got to be DeMar. It's got to be DeMar at the moment. He's doing everything. So yeah, I'm going to DeMar DeRozan for that one. And then the final game, interconference matchup: Mavs at the Bulls. At the Bulls? Mavs at the Bucks. Apologies. The two of the best international players going at it, in Luka and Giannis. I don't know. Like before, we've had games between conference rivals, which might have suggested where teams finish. This is kind of just just going to be a game that's going to be a lot of fun for both teams involved. Both teams are going to want to win. Dallas to keep that top 3 seed, Milwaukee to try and get that number 1 seed. It's all to play for both of them, really. And I do think the Bucks are going to come through. And when the Bucks win, you can't not bet against Giannis. So that is my 6 predictions for this week, the penultimate week of predictions. Make sure you're checking out our Instagram. Links in the description at the official BTA podcast for Sully's predictions, which should come up just after this video comes up, if not the day after. And yeah, thank you guys once again for listening to just me ramble on for 40 odd minutes about basketball. If you liked it, make sure you leave a like, subscribe for more. Comment down below what you want to see, especially now, given that the regular season is over. Obviously, we'll cover the playoffs, but obviously after that, there's an off season, so obviously we gotta cover that. Hopefully, we should be back next week for the final regular season BTA of season 2. Again, this season's gone by mega quickly, hasn't it? It's crazy. So make sure you're leaving a like, subscribe, turn on notifications so you never miss a new upload. If you're watching on any other podcast platform, make sure you're sharing it out. Tell your friends to watch. Sully, you might not be here, but I've got your mantra for you. So we will see you guys next week, most definitely, for another episode of Beyond the Arc. Peace.